Right, there you have it. Hello and welcome along to another episode of the Offload brought to you by 15 Kings. Thank you for their continued support and thank you to everybody who is listening to the podcast. We really appreciate it. And we forgot to ask them to do this, to subscribe, like and subscribe. We don't really know what it does.
Yeah.
But can you do it anyway?
Or leave a comment. Hold on, you can't talk it. You haven't been introduced.
We haven't introduced our new guest who's joined us here as well. Andrew Trimble. Hold on, I should say.
Tommy, why did you introduce him? We could have left him there for the day.
Hey, how we doing, lads?
How are you, man? 229 caps for Ulster, 70 caps for Ireland, one more than me.
Guilty.
Yes.
Guilty.
Never lose it. But Trimby, great to have you with us. And
hold
you're
on.
live.
And the most important stat, my second favourite Ulster winger, Trimby.
After what, Stockdale?
After Simon Gagan, of course.
He's not Ulster.
Isn't he not Ulster?
No.
That's embarrassing.
He's English.
Trevor England, maybe, or Keith Crossan, or
Fuck it, that backfired.
Craig Gilroy, Balakoon. There's plenty of good wingers, but I don't think Simon Gagan is one. Anyway,
that
Trim,
puts you straight
what's
in
the
at
crack?
Yes, all good, lads. All good. Plenty going on at the minute. Plenty of rugby, plenty of chat, plenty of crack. Wee bit of TV, Donncha.
Yes.
Entered into your world the last couple of weeks, so all good. Rural GAA Ireland is not a world I'm not familiar with, and I've had to get very familiar the last couple of weeks, so all good.
It is quite a unique world, isn't it? Ireland's Fittest family. Have you noticed that there's a different demographic of people now that are coming up to it? It's so young, and like actually, I think it covers every age generation. Like kids watching it with their nans.
Yeah, it's nice, and my kids were into it. They were kind of I suppose if they weren't into it, watching their dad on TV, like it would be a real damning indictment on the show. But
did you know what you're signing up for? Like Ireland's Fittest family, like Donncha is a staple on Irish televisions on Sunday night, and then I believe you didn't really even. You're like, so what is this show?
No, I thought it was the one where you weigh people in, and then like you get a summer with them, and then you see them watch
Operation Transformation or The Biggest Loser.
We did that with the coaches that time in Killiney Castle.
Oh my God, do you remember that? That's right.
Yeah.
Who was the head coach then? Was that Decky? Was head coach and stuff?
Yeah, I think we weighed Gert Small, didn't we? We weighed him at the start of Six Nations and then weighed him at the end of Six Nations.
We weighed everyone. Do you remember? And then it was the combined weight. So when they were going up for dinner, you'd all be like, whoa, 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 whoa. Mark Tainton, you're there. The salads are in the corner, Taints.
Yeah,
only 5 sausages, Gert.
Yeah, back in the noughties when you get away with that sort of stuff. You couldn't do that now.
Do you know he pinned me one day over that, lads? He was there like, we are management, Gert Small. He was there like, you seem to think because remember it was after the time we did the management Olympics.
That's what I was going to say, yeah, the Olympics.
Didn't 2 of them pull hamstrings when we got them doing the 100-meter sprint?
Oh, Rala pulled both hamstrings.
Rala only had to run 20 meters. He got an 80-meter ahead from the start, didn't he?
We tapered it, exactly. He just had to run in from the 22. Who, like Brian Green or someone, probably started at the line, or who was he?
Yeah, Cameron Steele. Loads of them started on the line, didn't they? Like, and had to do a proper one, whereas then it was all staggered.
So yeah, that's what I thought Ireland's Fittest family was. I've never really watched the show, and whenever I got an email about it, I was like, Donncha's the only thing I know about Ireland's Fittest family, and I know that no one has any memory of Donncha's rugby career. It was much better than mine, so everybody just knows him as the guy for Ireland's Fittest family. So with my rugby career, with like a lower starting point, I'm going to be forgotten about very quickly, which is fine. But,
well, listen, it looks like you've got a good family so far. My kids are loving it, guys.
Yeah,
and they're loving that the two of you are up against each other. They're mad for Trimby up against Donncha. But you've got the family from Monaghan, the McKennas, Trim. Yeah. You're onto a winner here, boy.
Oh, look at him.
Yeah. This is like maybe the first time we've been on the same page, Tommy, is it?
First time. Are we friends?
Yeah, I know. We've been like competitive, battling it out, annoying each other for years all the way through rugby career. And this is the first time the McKenna family have brought the Trimbles and the Bowes together.
Well, I love you're probably using all your Monaghan, any sort of random shite I've come out with over the years about Monaghan, you're definitely pulling it out of the back pocket now.
Yeah.
Oh, I hear mushrooms are big down in Monaghan there. And
these lads are proper, like, rural Monaghan, like proper farmers. The lad, like, Keelan, all he talked about was sheep. That was it. We talked about sheep all summer, and I was trying to I was wondering maybe I could invest in sheep. I was sort of thinking, well, I was like, what's the business case for keeping sheep? And Sharon, the mom, goes, only keep sheep if you're like him, if you love sheep. There's no money in sheep.
Brilliant. Trimby looking at lambs. Could I buy them off the plans and flip them?
Put them in the back garden.
all over again.
Yeah, what about your team, Donncha? How has the rivalry gone? Because as Trimby said, it was always me against him with Ulster, with Ireland. It was always battling for that one position. But the two of you guys are up, and you two have all this lovely relationship. You both used to travel off to Italy together.
Don't you be jealous.
24th,
you can't drive a wedge here,
and 25th, man.
Don't even try, Tommy.
Oh shit! I know the test. I know we play against Italy later today, but shall we go on a tourist excursion around Rome? Yeah, shall we hold hands?
Now, our big thing used to be going for banana bread, Trimby. Remember the day before the match, we'd head off and kind of look to get an old cup of tea and a slice of banana bread was the big thing.
Ryan Queenstown, and we ordered banana bread, and the lad was like, "Would you like that toasted?" And we were like, "Of course we would." Now this has got even more perfect.
It blew our mind. Toasted banana bread. I'm telling you, if you haven't had it, you're eating banana bread all wrong. But what I used to get a giggle out of, we'd look into a place and we might see someone like Tom Court in there reading his book, and we'd be like, the banana bread's good, but can we chat to Corty for 40 minutes? Ugh.
Well, I feel like Corty
and come back.
I feel like Corty being that gooseberry in between the third wheel in between the two of you here. But I'm delighted to see the two of you going apart.
Yeah, to answer your question, it was a joy. I really enjoyed it this summer. Trimby aside, Michael, Darragh Macaulay, Ellen, you know what I mean? They're massively interesting, aren't they? Like, Michael Darragh, man, he was one of you could plug him straight into our dressing room.
Yeah, he's brilliant. He's a Black Rock kid, like
no wonder he fit in.
He's a posh rugby kid from Dublin that played for WGA. He was kind of ashamed of it. He was because he goes. We were chatting to him, and I was like, I was talking a little bit about rugby. I was like, you follow your rugby? And he goes, yeah. Do you know? And he was kind of ashamed. He's like, do you know what school I went to? And he admitted that he went to Black Rock, but he was
brilliant.
He was reluctant to tell me.
I doubled down on it. I was there. Who was in your class? And he was there. Luke Fitz. I was there. There you go, man.
Sweeners. He must know Sweeners.
Sweeners.
Well, listen, for people who haven't watched it at the weekend, that the eliminator at the end. You're two families up against each other. Can you describe the conditions? Because they have to run up that ramp at the end and try and pull the whole family up. Yeah. And normally it looks fairly doable. Yeah. But it was an absolute shit show.
It was a monsoon weather-wise, and then what had happened as well is it started holding water down the end of... It should be a ramp. I'm going to call it a water slide at the end of it. And it was like a scene out of Angry Birds. They were just running and thumping off it. And then we'd be there, go again. And it kind of got to this point, Trimby, where I was kind of looking at you, kind of going... Isn't this gas? You know what I mean? And Tommy, you know TV, you know every producer and every director in the place is going, oh my God, what happens here? And then there was bananas things that started happening. At one point, he took off his jacket, right, which was sopping anyway, and started trying to dry the ramp.
Well, I thought at least he was trying to help. You just stood there shouting at them.
What fucking help was he? I was pissing myself laughing at how stupid Trimble was. I was there as if they needed, you know what I mean? The chaos of it all. And there's Trimby, honestly, trying to dust it with a sopping jacket.
In response, Trimby?
Yeah, I was trying to win their hearts. I was just trying to. I am so committed to this family and making us successful. I will do whatever it takes. Yeah. But that's the first exposure I had to the ramp. So I was like coming away from this. I was like, does it always finish awkwardly? and it was kind of sad. And I was looking at Donncha, I was like, this is funny. Really, it was like funny. And then I was like, no, it's getting a bit sad here. I feel like everybody's about to burst into
It
tears.
was
I don't
sad.
think it was like Angry Birds. I think it was like I Am Legend, at the end when the zombies splat into the glass at the end.
That's more accurate.
I watching it, I felt so sorry for the family that got nobody up the like they were heartbreaking. So anyway, the referee ended up blowing the whistle and said, right, this isn't working, lads. We're just going to give it to this family for whatever they did. I don't know what it was, but
Whatever reason, make something up.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's the same way we're seeing referees do in rugby at the minute. Just make something up.
They went to the TMO and the TMO just made something out.
Listen, away from that, Trimble, we do have to, like, for people who might not be completely aware of your situation, we've all retired similar enough times. You went away and got into business, got into a tech business. You've been really successful and done amazing things since retiring from rugby. And listen, we don't always talk about the highlights and the positive stories of people retiring from rugby, but you've been a real positive.
Well, I kind of stumbled into something. I had a concept around rugby, around team management and team communication, and how kind of clumsy it was. So I kind of stumbled into something, and then I realized that it's actually there was loads of stuff I didn't know, but I didn't know what I didn't know. So I ended up kind of committing to this. So we raised some investment, and then I realized I am so out of my depth here, And I kind of feel
investment. Like, you raised big money, did you not?
yeah, but again, I didn't really. We just kind of ended up in this position where like a lot of privates. We got some institutional investment, we got some private angel investment, and then you're kind of going, right, we have to find a way to make this work because we've took people's money and we want to make it a success. And so anyway, so that put us in a position where we have to kind of work this out. And how kind of clueless we all are when we come out of rugby. We've been totally institutionalized in this bubble our whole world. You're pointing at me and your screen, but I know
exactly.
It was meant for Tommy.
I know, yeah. But like we're being totally like surrounded by this fake world our whole lives, and it's brilliant and it's great, and we have the crack and we pull people's pants down whenever we're holding 2 plates at the buffet, and that's great. You don't get to do that anywhere else.
Amazing.
I miss that more than anything.
But when you come out of that, you kind of realize, geez, I need to upskill here, get my finger out, and kind of get up to speed pretty quickly. So yeah, we did that. It was tough, but I think a lot of things from rugby helped me, just like the changing environment, changing coaches, changing game, changing position, all that sort of stuff, and then just kind of adapting to that was like the raw ingredients for helping me in business. So I ended up having a really good time, enjoying it.
It's incredible. So it was an app pretty much for our sports team. So for people who might not understand, like, we used to have to go, if you wanted to see the physio, you'd go into the physio room and they had all the different times and appointments. You used to have to write your name down. Same for massages, to get notes from like coaches. It was all very backward when you think of how far things have gone in other industries. So this kind of brought that whole professionalism into sports teams. And like, you were with tell us some of the like top sports teams that you're involved in.
Yeah, so I always kind of find it funny and strange that you'd walk into the gym, and like the old gym, they spent, I don't know, whatever, we got government funding for the gym at the old Ravenhill, and it was there's all sorts of tech, like there's force plates, Nordboard, Gym Aware, all these tech, all these leaderboards, all this cool stuff, and you're going, that's brilliant down here, but communication is not great because we just get a WhatsApp to tell us what time the bus is going. So I was like, why there's so much innovation here, and then really around communication it's quite clumsy and clunky, and like players need that focus. So I sort of thought, well, let's solve a few problems there. So we had a couple of false starts. COVID was difficult as well. No teams had any budget. We were about to go to market with our product, and then we kind of spent another year discovery, speaking to people, iterating the product, making it better, and then we started working with a couple of football teams in England. Forest Green Rovers. I'd never heard of them before. I thought it was a piss take. Someone's winding me up here.
I played them with Championship Manager many years ago. Started at the very bottom, bring them up to the top league.
So,
good on you, Tommy.
Yeah, so Forest Green Rovers, Cambridge United were the first 2 teams we started working with, and then they both got promoted from League 2 to League 1, and we were like, that is all because of us, 100%.
Yeah.
And then very shortly afterwards, we started working with Manchester United Academy, And business is all about telling stories. The story we told was we're working with Manchester United and just left it there. We're happy for people to assume it's the first team, no problem. And we kind of, I suppose we just like worked very closely with these guys, made the product a little bit better. And then we got a bit of a network effect. And we had eight or nine teams in the Premier League in England. And then we were acquired by a competitor of ours, Teamworks, and now myself and Gareth and a lot of the team work for Teamworks now. So yeah, it's been a journey. It was fun, learned a lot, and met some great people along the way. So just different people. We've been surrounded by rugby people our whole lives. And life is a lot richer when you come out of it, and you meet designers, engineers, investors, creative people, innovative, thoughtful, smart people, and you don't always get them in a rugby changing room. Now, I love the rugby environment, all that good stuff, all the crack you don't get anywhere else, but it's nice to kind of broaden that and broaden that exposure.
I know. We had so much crack there, and you've just turned into a tech bro for the last 5 minutes.
It's great because it's back to your initial point, Tommy. I don't think we celebrated enough, Trimble. What you've done has actually been quite remarkable. And I know you give the old, I just stumbled in here like a big old Egypt. That's not the case,
man.
That's not
what I said.
Well, that's what you kind of half implied with the, I got a little bit lucky. Modest told me, George Schmidt just picked me because I could stick to detail and get all the process done perfectly.
Joe loves me, Amanda Trimble.
I think rugby. So as much as like we're surrounded by the same types of lads, everybody knows that stereotype of rugby guys. What we're exposed to, I think, actually prepares us for life after rugby really well, and we don't even know it. Every single week, we're either selected or we're dropped, whether injured or we're fit, whether play well or we don't play well, and it's all in the public stage. Everybody sees it, and it's stressful. And Tommy, you're doing like an even more version of this on TV, saying 10 siblings publicly
over and over again.
So all that sort of stuff, it makes you really accountable. It just makes you kind of manage the turbulence of life and what's required of you. And I think it develops some resilience that then, if you can translate that to another environment, another world, I think it's very useful. So I think we've all got higher ceilings than we think. Everybody thinks we're all just dumb rugby players.
Yeah,
and we've seen Joe Marler, the dumb rugby player, was the smartest guy on Celebrity Traders.
The only one who called Alan Hughes.
Yeah.
No, and not Alan Carr.
Alan Carr, you langer. But Trimble, that's what I'm trying to get the point across. I don't think we champion the likes of what you've done enough. You know what I mean? We kind of fall down and pull each other down as opposed to going, look what Trimble's done. You know what I mean? And that should be the aspirations for everyone else kind of coming out of it. Sorry, question though, in terms of the buzz, you know what I mean? Going through that, kind of being acquired and stuff like that. What was that like compared to, give us an analogy with the kind of rugby? Is it up there in terms of the adrenaline rush from it?
It is. So that deal getting done, like it was as much as it was as exciting as it was stressful, because there's a lot of detail and a lot of kind of legal guys and experts and this, that, the other, and a lot of different things to consider. But there were other moments when we started working with a couple of American teams, started working with Orlando Magic. I was in Orlando that summer 3 or 4 times, pitching to their second tier team, then pitching to the first team, the GM, all these kind of high profile teams in their room that they do their draft. It's really, really cool. And then onboarding Orlando Magic and making sure they had a good experience and solving any problems, all that sort of stuff. So got to know them really well. That was a really cool experience, because like we're just working with an NBA team. This is bizarre, And there was definitely one even. I was over there in Orlando by myself. I sort of felt like a lot of responsibility. I don't want to cock this up. We've got 10 or 12 guys at home are kind of reliant on me not botching this, which is the same thing in rugby, a high ball, lock down this scrum, whatever it is, whatever you're required to do, you got to do it for your teammates. So there's a lot of it, kind of similar kind of parallels around that, and getting that done and getting that across the line, and them having good experience. And now we're in the NBA. Now there's huge opportunities for us to grow and work with other teams in the NBA and other North America pro teams. That is so exciting. And the fact there was other times in Belfast, I was looking around, we had a team of 12 of us, 5 or 6 engineers, a couple of go-to-market, a couple of marketing guys. And I was just looking around, kind of pinching myself, going, we've created this out of nothing. This is like a concept. We worked hard at this. Now we've got something really valuable, and it's really exciting. And it's just a small team. So all the things you learn in rugby about, that culture and the environment, and, the expectations of how you perform and how safe a set of hands you are, and, looking after your team. It's all the same stuff, having a small team in business. And so a lot of stuff I learned in rugby was exactly that. And it was just as exciting, more exciting at times.
Yeah.
Good on you,
Listen,
man.
absolutely. Yeah. No, it is. It's amazing. I like to hear that journey as well. And I can imagine just even walking into somewhere like Orlando Magic, it's a real pinch me moment, that sort of thing. So, and to be involved in multiple different sports and knowing that your platform works across all those as well is fantastic. Then, of course, you got taken over by Teamworks. But you still work with Teamworks. How are you finding that, working with a big global organization like that? And it's, I don't know whether that's freed you up because you're involved in so many other different things as well.
I was just about to say, are you working with someone? Because you're on every fucking podcast I've ever seen, man. You know what I mean? I'm actually waiting for you to jump on to Pat's the Power in instead of Ivan Yates. Or, you know what I mean? You'd have a bag on your face in with Blind Boy. Or just in the middle of Joanne and Vogue, Trimble popping in.
My wife would be gutted if I turned up in that show. It'd be ruining it for her. It's her favorite show.
True.
Yeah, so working with them, it's definitely very different. We've gone. First of all, it was interesting because we sold a 1-point solution, Ryan. Like, so the operations manager, we go to them and say, "What are your problems? Okay, this can solve this, that, the other. We can change this, and save time, efficiencies, all that sort of stuff." So point solution, and now we spoke to Teamworks, and Teamworks are like, well, now we've got this whole kind of ecosystem of solutions and all this kind of this suite of solutions all complement and overlap across different departments. So whoever you speak to in the sports team, whether it be operations, performance, nutrition, strength and conditioning, coaching, everything, we can solve problems for all them. And we were like, well, that's actually a really cool project to be a part of. So that was kind of the incentive for us to get across and work with them. And then now they've just got Access College, all these North America pro teams, APAC, Aussie Rules, NRL, everything. They work everywhere. So they've got this real understanding of high performance sport in general. So that was quite cool. A lot of smart people. But we went from 12 of us to 400 people overnight. So all of a sudden, we used to joke on a night out, like team bonding night, whatever. We were going, who's on HR tonight? What's the crack? It was just that type of environment. And now I got to do cybersecurity courses. And we do have an actual HR department. There's all this sort of stuff you have to learn for a bigger company, but it's still good for you. It's still good to learn it, but it's sometimes you kind of miss. It's nice sitting around a table, 10 of us. What are we doing this week? And it's not versus the world,
No, you should be so proud of how you grew it, Trimby. Just on it, for the athlete now, so everything is chatting to each other at the moment because Tommy's right. Before, whatever even about comms, but GPS didn't chat to wellness, if you know what I mean. Now you're able to have a solution that everything can flag and you can truly know what's going on with every athlete at every moment.
That's ideally where we get to, and we're sort of along that journey at this stage. Now we're Teamwork's going to be releasing an app that brings a number of different departments together, or a number of different nutrition, strength and conditioning, a number of different apps. So like, how difficult it is for players to have 5 different apps to log in, and they're going to lose track of things. It's very difficult. They just players can't cope with that. Players can't cope with that at all. They've no patience for that. And bringing that all into one place and making it a little bit more straightforward and streamlined, that's the plan. And we'll be able to do that more and more as they bring in more solutions and plug them into the system.
Unbelievable. Right. Okay, we're 20 minutes into the pod and people are going mental going, I thought you meant to be talking about rugby in this.
Like potholes and penguins.
Pretty much, exactly.
I'm glad it's all going well for Trimby, but what about Australia?
Yeah, exactly. John Kerwin there, he's like, talk rugby, Trimby. Oh, Donncha wants to do this. He's got the glasses on.
Nice.
No,
okay, before we get into rugby, let's take a listen to these. Thank you so much for listening to the Offload podcast. We would love if you joined us in the dressing room. Every Tuesday night, you'll get the opportunity to get exclusive content. We'll have no adverts, and you get into the draw to win some badly needed and much loved rugby tickets.
You're not wrong, Tommy. There you go. Step into the dressing room. Head to offloadpodcast.com. That's offloadpodcast.com. And for €6 a month, you could join us in the dressing room. We'd love to answer your questions.
We sure would. You putting the boots on?
Let's go, Tommy. Let's talk out.
Right, John Kerwin, tell us what you think. Sorry, Trimby. How you find the podcast with Victor Matfield and John Kerwin before we do go into the rugby chat?
Yeah, well, what I've realized is I call them internet gremlins, and they're South Africa supporters on the internet. My goodness, they are everywhere, and like they release an episode on YouTube, and there's 100 comments like that 5 minutes later, and it's all South Africans, and a lot of them are saying, "Who is this Irish guy, and what has he ever achieved in the game?" So
I see they kept calling you that you're in Father Ted's house as well.
yeah, I had a good bit of that. I mean, that's the only slightly positive, slightly less negative feedback I'm getting. Victor can do no wrong. Victor is outrageous. He just like that red card last weekend of Lou de Jager, the reddest red card you'll ever see in your life.
Yeah.
Victor was like, that shouldn't have been a red card, and every single Springbok supporter comments high five, and couldn't be more right. But they love it. It's different, it's interesting, and it's a nice kind of, we surround ourselves with Irish people, an Irish perspective, and then I kind of realized 1 or 2 episodes early on I was a bit long-winded about Ireland, kind of just thinking I was an off the ball or our podcast or this or something, but actually not that many people out there really care about Irish rugby. Springbok supporters only care about their big lads winning collisions, smashing scrums. That's all they care about.
Isn't it so annoying though, lads, to be fair, right? Because we're disappointed to probably be third in the world at the moment. You know what I mean? I don't think we've got any credit for what we've done. When you consider, like, Trimby, you saw it over the summer, man. The majority of this country want to hurl and play football. And here we are, you know what I mean? Like, Razzie's never beaten us in Dublin. Like, and we're not all that interested in the sport as a nation, you know?
I do see that as well. I mean, I think that, like, I think we've kind of just got this expectation now that all of a sudden the Irish rugby team isn't maybe clicking like we've seen the last couple of years, and people are, they're a joke, shocking. But you're still third in the world in a sport that's probably our 4th, maybe 5th most played sport in the country. It's insane. We've been spoiled.
Yeah, I think there's 1 or 2. There's a few people in Ireland love to hate this team. I think like it's definitely captured the imagination of the country as a whole more generally over the last few years. Build up to the World Cup, the disappointment of the World Cup, obviously, but there's definitely a few haters who kind of sit there quietly, wait for something to go wrong, and say, you see, it's not so perfect. Third in the world, you third place losers.
Well, it'll always come back to, well, where did you go in the World Cup? Third doesn't really matter.
I don't mind that. That bit, whenever Kiwis and South Africans come out with that, oh, you've still never got past the quarterfinal. They probably never even knew how we were doing in quarterfinals up until a few years ago. And we exist. They're even talking about us. That is progress. True. We didn't even exist up until now.
You know our names.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Do you remember that they used to do press conferences and they'd ask like what players are really standing out for you, and there are these puzzled looks going, O'Driscoll,
Keith Wood.
If it wasn't that Jake White, he was asked which player would you have in your squad, and the only one I think he took was Dricko. You know what I mean? Wow, and yeah. I think Decky tried to play it up as a thing, but we were all there kind of going, yeah, that's right.
We got a call.
Yeah. Bar Paulie being a little bit pissed off. Yeah, no, I'd say that's accurate.
There's a thing that Clive Woodward supposedly did years ago that Australia couldn't, or England couldn't beat New Zealand, and he was going through all the players. He had a flip chart and he had like this team up against this team at this position. I definitely pick you, Justin Leonard, and I definitely pick you, Martin Johnson. And then we got to like the winger, and it was like Austin Healy up against Jonah Lomu. And then he was like, well, to be honest, Austin, I'd probably go.
You have to be honest in those moments.
14 out of the 15 players I'd pick, but obviously I'm going to have to go with Lomu on the wing.
Love it.
How do you think Ireland are going at the minute, Trimby? Japan, obviously last weekend, New Zealand, you were over there for that match in Chicago. What's your take on where Ireland are sitting at the moment?
Yeah, obviously things aren't probably going as well as we thought they would. Set pieces struggling. We're struggling for that kind of continuity and that phase play, multi-phase, just keeping the ball in play, through 20, 25 phases and then eventually breaking down defenses. We're not seeing any of that. We're seeing them pull the trigger a little bit earlier. And then there's been a bit of clumsiness elsewhere around set pieces, as I mentioned. So it hasn't been great. And New Zealand was especially disappointing because there was a big build up to that. And then I suppose Japan was disappointing because we thought, well, they're shy of game time, or there'll be a little bit less undercooked. We'll hopefully see them start to make a bit of progress, and they probably didn't there either. But I still wouldn't be panicking. I think there's a little bit of panic amongst some commentators or pundits. I probably wouldn't be panicking yet. I think Australia looked tired. That balance with, I think Australia are really keen. This could be, am I right in saying this is Joe's last game in charge?
Last game in Dublin, I think.
Okay, right. Well,
I think he's one more match against France.
The Drico goodbye, like, that went on for 2 years. This is
the big O2 blimps out of the pitch. It's like, can we start the game
in Rome?
So, well, I was gonna say they'll be emotionally fired up. I know a few of those guys. Joe Schmidt has really kind of turned Australian rugby around. They've dropped off a little bit. I just think it's tiredness, and when you're missing Valentino, you're missing Skelton, you're missing guys who are going to get you, kind of that ability to be competitive and win collisions up front. If you haven't got that, no matter how clever, and we all know how clever and switched on and how good a coach Joe Schmidt is, if you can't win collisions, then you don't get a foothold in the game.
Oh, Joe.
You lads love Joe Schmidt too.
Joe, how long are we in before he started climbing up Joe's ass?
I presume you've gone to see
with Joe in a heart shape on the wall behind me.
Has Joe landed into Dublin yet? Like, have you been down to see him? Obviously, tea and scones
picking him up
in his
from the
room.
airport.
Joe loved you as well, Tommy. Joe absolutely loved you as well, and we kind of dovetailed. He did.
He didn't love me at all, but he loved. It was like, oh, look at the way Trimble hits those rucks. Oh, Trimble, you're so wonderful.
Trimble,
the way
what a man to L into a ruck.
Look at him chasing after this ball like his life depended on it.
Joe loved you as well. Joe loved you and I infinitely more than he loved Zebo. Let's face it.
Yeah, that's true. That is very, very true.
I actually see a lot of you in Tommy O'Brien. Has anyone said that to you? I think you're a very similar player.
I get that
pasty white as well. Yeah, you're right.
Although kind of that mechanical run.
Yeah, I get that. And there's some compliments and a couple of slags in here as well. So I'm looking forward to hearing those.
Tommy O'Brien is there. My arms aren't that long.
Yeah. I said to someone at the game in Chicago, I was like, Tommy O'Brien walks like he walks like he's just had a stroke. And, and my mate turned to me and he was like, he walks like you. That's the way you walk.
He does have an odd walk,
like Jar Jar Binks. You've got that going on,
But you only notice that whenever you're pitch side. I didn't know that about his walk, and I was watching him, and he does have a bit of a limp or something.
Like a bit robotic or something. He kind of flicks his heel out or something. Yeah, there's something unique about it.
Some man for Ellen into a ruck, and some man for chasing a kick.
What a player he is! I think. Hopefully, it'd be great to see him play in an Irish team playing well, because. Yeah. If they don't go well, he'll never go well. You know yourself, Tommy. We're at the mercy of you dickheads actually winning us some ball, Donncha.
Just on that point, though, right? And I know the line-out hasn't been good, but you know the point you were making there, Trimby, that we're used to Irish teams going through 25 phases. I wonder, has the game changed now with this lack of escorting? You see South Africa, England, they're all kicking way more. I just wonder, are we missing the window to evolve into an area that we could be really good at? If you look at field and ball, it's a brilliant thing Irish teams are good at. Irish players can field footballs. You know what I mean? I just look at the way the game's going with the lack of escort now. I think we're probably trying to overplay. We're looking to get to 25 phases where there's no reward in it anymore. Let's boot the ball and be really smart in 6 phases and kick retreat,
Yeah, I think there's definitely something to that. It feels like, well, the France-South Africa game at the weekend, every time Intermac got the ball, he kicked it. Every time Sasha Feinberg and Gomazulu got the ball, he kicked it as well. And you're kicking to 2 of the best 15s. And if you find grass at all, it's chaos back there. So it feels like, teams are pulling the trigger a little bit earlier now. And I think we probably saw that in Chicago. Jack Crowley kicked the ball a couple of times whenever you thought, okay, let's just hold on to the ball. But
Yeah.
maybe that's the way the game's going and they're reacting to it. So it kind of feels like more and more line speed means, well, you can't hold on. It's too tiring. And we saw that probably in Leinster, Munster, that Interpro as well. Leinster held on to ball for 25, 30 phases and got smashed every time they got the ball, and they looked exhausted, and the defense get bigger and more energetic. So I think there could be something to that.
One of the areas, though, if you are going to kick it, you have to make it contestable, because it's actually all in favour of the attack now. Because an attacking player, if you have it contestable, they're running onto it. And in the past, when we would have been chasing those kicks, Trimby, it's like pinball. You're trying to dodge inside, outside, fullback, scrum half is running alongside you. Everyone's trying to put you off, where now you can't lay a finger on them. So they have a clean run through.
The thing on that, though, Tommy, is I actually think you could put a strategy around that, right? So say you're the scout, and genuinely, and you're I'm just picking, Jack Crowley puts the ball up, and you're ball-headed, put something on it. But then you'd have all the kind of crummers and, you know what I mean, people waiting for half breaks. So we don't need you to win the ball, but we need you to disrupt it.
Well, that is the strategy. Like, you're seeing England are doing that very well at the minute. They've scored a couple of tries off kick, and it's really just a case of getting up into the air and tapping it back, as opposed to having to catch it clean. And there's no better man from this than Joe Schmidt. I mean, this was his kind of piece de resistance. I don't know if that's the right term to all it or not.
Yeah,
but anyway, that's
sounded good enough to us. I didn't know
sounded
your
good,
Irish
didn't
was
it?
that good.
But when
My point is, whatever
when he
about fucking Joe Schmidt getting it, are the Irish team getting it?
No, they're not. Johnny said that. Johnny has talked about that. That's the way the game is going, and we're not being efficient enough on it.
Okay,
And you're seeing that, because there's been a lot. And listen, Jack Crowley has gone great, but there have been a number of kicks where it hasn't. Like, if you think of Tommy O'Brien on the wing, you have Robbie Henshaw staying in the centre, you have Jacob Stockdale, who was in the wing last week as well, climbing into those. And they're just not the opportunity. There's just that little bit too far. And when you get up against the Australias, the South Africas, with the dangerous players in the back three, it just gives them such an opportunity to counterattack. So it's definitely an area to improve.
Yeah, and it's not luck. You think, oh, the breaking ball, you're gonna pick up. It just happens to bounce in your hands. It's not luck. You put yourself there. I bet you Joe Schmidt, especially, will have been repping those drills. Make sure you're the tripod, he used to call it, or just sitting around where the ball might drop, and you'll get things just pop into your hands. That's the way the game's going.
Do you remember Joe came in and he was like, right, this is what we've got, lads. This is going to be our strength. You have Rob Carney, Gaelic football background. You have Luke Fitzgerald, Gaelic football background. You have Tommy Bowe, Simon Zebo, all played Gaelic football. You have Jared Payne there, who's a fullback. You have Andrew Trimble. Well, he used to play out in the back garden with his sisters.
Well done, Tommy. You served him. Go on, Trimby.
Oh, that's it. It's over.
It is over.
Yeah,
let's
that's
call
right.
it now. Time of death.
But boy, he could get up into the air. Chase like no other.
Gets up into
Trimby.
the air and then drops it. This fella, he will take that space and then drop it.
Yeah. We slag about it, Trimby, but to be fair, we chatted to Simon Zebo as well. Sometimes you get the coach you want at a pivotal time, and he was really important for you. Joe saw the value in you too. You know what I mean? Performing roles. Like, just give us a little bit of your, appreciation for Joe in terms of coaching and strategy and pushing you on as a player.
Yeah, there's a simplicity to Joe. There was around wing play, and that was how I interpreted it anyway. But I remember there was do you remember the game at Millennium Stadium? Craig Gilroy was in one wing, Simon Zebo was in the other, and this is the day someone put a pass to Zebo, but it was behind him,
Yeah,
and he
Jamie,
just,
and he
calmly
flicks it.
Yeah, bad pass from Jamie. And he calmly flicks it with his heel. He does a couple of keepy ups and the ball just pops into his breadbasket. And I remember watching that out, obviously not being selected and not really near it and not playing well at the time. I was like, if I have to do that to play for Ireland, I'm never playing for Ireland ever again. So I'm way too limited. That's not possible. It's not even on my radar. But, I kind of sat down with Joe, and Mervyn Murphy was very important for me as well. Just simplified, just look after the ball, chase hard, make good defensive reads, real simple stuff, 4 or 5 principles. And then I can be really valuable to this team. And it doesn't need to be It doesn't need to be all the sort of stuff Tommy would do, Zebo would do. There might be an element of one or two of those, but generally my game was about simplicity and kind of being reliable, being formidable, being physical, all that sort of stuff. And I kind of shaped my game around that. And Joe rated it, Joe valued it, and it worked for a couple of years.
It showed what a game, how simple a game is when you break it down into your own individual jobs, and everybody does their job to the best of their ability. And if I can count on Andrew's going to make all his tackles, if I can count on him being in the right place at the right time, if you count on him being in this ruck or catching the ball or being there for that last pass to score in the corner, like that's what Joe did. He broke it down. So for players who do play off the cuff a little bit more, it made it a little bit more difficult. But actually, if everybody stuck to the plan, stuck to the structure and didn't waver for it, you would be so much more difficult to beat than the opposition. And that's why Joe was so successful. And then Andy Farrell, of course, came in and he kind of loosened the valve a little bit, let players, kind of express themselves and show what their strengths are. But I feel now we've gone a little bit too far. And a lot of the simple fundamentals, the foundations of what Joe laid so strongly that Andy Farrell benefited from massively. I feel a lot of like our passes, how many times did we spend just doing simple pass and rep, and we got so good at it. Where now you're looking at the team and the passing just is not quite on the money anymore. And there's small little things like that, discipline as well, that just don't seem to be firing like we would have seen in years gone by.
There definitely is a balance, isn't there? So like Joe brings in the kind of, here's our structure, here's our philosophy, here's how we're going to play, and everybody knows that intimately, and the basics of breakdown, pass, set piece, all that sort of stuff. And then, as you say, that works really well. And there were times it was so empowering. You knew if everybody at the scrum does what they're supposed to do, if everybody executes their pass, everybody gets where they're supposed to be. There was times I was going, of course we're going to score a try here.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, everybody does what they're. It's not possible that we don't score a try if everybody does what we're supposed to do. That's really empowering and gives you such a confidence. If I just do what I'm doing, 14 guys around me do what they're supposed to do, it should be great. And then the evolution of that, Tommy, I think is really important as well. Schmidt into Farrell. I don't know if maybe that's the case, maybe going a little bit far, but there's definitely a sweet spot, and it's kind of the science of Schmidt and the art of Farrell. I just wonder if maybe South Africa are experiencing a bit of a sweet spot at the minute where you've got Rassie and the kind of the strict confrontational, formidable, direct win collisions, the fundamental DNA of South African rugby. You add Tony Brown into that, and he adds just a little bit of something special. Once they get quick ball, then you see Cheslin Colby expressing himself and doing what we love to see. So maybe there is always that balance in rugby, and maybe Ireland have got it slightly wrong. I'm not sure. I think it's too early to tell, actually. Of
course it is.
After the South Africa game, after autumn, we'll do a review, and we'll all kind of, what I mean? We'll be wiser then rather than halfway through. It's hard to know.
Trimble, can I ask you, an awful lot of people talk about counting the speed bumps into the Clarion, or where was it? Clayton
Carton House.
Carton House, yeah. How was your relationship with Joe? Obviously he picked you and all, but you know what I mean? How did you get on?
I loved, well, first of all, the environment. It was so unbelievably stressful at the start. I was Daniel's son, and he was Mr. Miyagi, and I was painting his fence and waxing his car, and it was so stressful.
And we're all pushing you to the side. No, I'm painting his fence. No, I'm doing it.
Yeah, I was like, if Joe gets back and I haven't waxed his car, he's gonna crack up with me. And then Zebo was off smoking and drinking.
No, he was doing that thing on the crane kick. He's just working on his crane kicks.
So it was really intense. And I remember the walkthroughs on a Wednesday night. It was honestly like test match intensity. It was so stressful. But that only lasts for 2 or 3 weeks. And once you've been kind of broken and built back up, then you start to think the way you know what he's going to say, and then you would see some new guys coming in, and at this stage, it's comfortable. What's uncomfortable at the beginning, you get trained up to the point where I actually enjoy this environment. I know what's expected of me, and I know I can deliver it. And then you'd see new guys coming in, you'd be like, oh, welcome. You're not going to like this for the first while, but if you're still alive after a few weeks, you might start to enjoy it.
It's like Shawshank. You're all taking bets. Fresh fish.
Well, and that's the success of Joe and why he was so successful. And then the problem with that is that it gets so intense and everybody has to buy in, that all of a sudden there's one or two cracks start to show. And when one or two cracks start to show, that's when it all crumbles. And unfortunately, that kind of happened in 2019 with that World Cup as well. Listen, obviously Ireland against Australia this weekend is going to be an absolute cracker of a match. Some huge games this weekend as well. I want to just talk to you as well, though, about, just for the Ulster supporters, Rory Best. Bestie we know well now, the general manager. Like, geez, how sickening, isn't it?
Lads, wasn't he?
I know,
he was a CEO in boots, like.
Yeah, it's sickening though, isn't it? Seeing Bestie like GM, like.
Yeah, he's been generally managing for a long time.
Lovely, well played, Trimble.
Managing from afar. Yeah, he's just. I don't know. I don't know what the crack was before. I haven't chatted to Bryn in any detail around what what the setup was, and obviously there's been a bit of change over the last while with coaches, CEO, and now Bryn. So it feels like it's a little bit turbulent now. There's a little bit more stability, obviously, with a few decent performances, good start of the season. That'll just, what that's like, lads. That tone will change down the halls, down the changing rooms, in the gym. Everything, everybody will be a little bit more relaxed. Although just underneath the surface, there's bound to be a little bit of kind of difficulty, maybe financial difficulties over the last couple of years. I do feel like Rory's perfect for that. He's going to go in there, he's going to crack the whip, and he's I do feel like he's got enough emotional intelligence to he gets people, he understands people, but he's also he'll have the right level of impatience, I think, and he'll crack the whip, and he just won't tolerate any bullshit. And I think that's probably going to be a good thing. So it's Ulster Rugby wasn't in crisis by any means. There's a lot of good people there, but something just wasn't quite working. And Rory coming in there, like Bryn, I'm sure, has put the structures in place to kind of future-proof a lot of it, and I think we'll see a lot of that coming to fruition over the next while. I think in hindsight, we'll say, actually, Bryn did a brilliant job, and now it's Rory's turn to take the baton and move that on, and I think he's going to be brilliant. He's going to be brilliant for Ulster Rugby, and I think it's exciting to be unashamedly an Ulster supporter over the next while, just to see where they go. So looking forward to following that.
100%, and it's something Donncha has said a couple of times, that like a number of players have retired from our generation and gone into coaching. But to see somebody else like Rory maybe not go into coaching but into that general manager role, like, it's great to see former players who've given so much to their country and to their province to be able to go back and give back a little bit, and I think that's, we hope to see more and more of that. I think
it's a different, like, Rory. There's some bits of Rory's leadership that are textbook. There's some bits of Rory's leadership that are unorthodox, and I'm talking about, like, this is a guy who, as captain, kicked Paul Marshall up the arse because he didn't get the ball out of the ruck quick enough. I was like, that is just, not a bit of leadership you're going to read in a self-help book,
And he never apologized either.
Never apologized once.
He also stabbed me with a fork. He also stabbed me with a fork in the morning after a night out. I was chatting some shite, and all of a sudden I looked down at my quad and there was a fork in it. I was there. What in the name of God have you just done?
I've also seen him sticking cocktail sticks into his head as well.
Yeah, there's a bit of innovation. He's gonna innovate.
That's what you need.
He's going to do things differently.
That's the inspiration we need.
But Bowe, it is exciting to hear you chant like that, because Ulster is on the turn. You mentioned the early season, you mentioned the signings, even stuff. But lads, but I'm going to even go back to Ballinhinch, AIL. I saw Ballinhinch, incredible in the AIL this year. There's a movement in the grassroots level as well, which sits under Rory Best's remit to kind of bring and populate the academies and get everything up to speed.
Well, listen, this is it, Donncha. We've talked about this for a while. Leinster, unfortunately, or fortunately for Irish rugby,
I think unfortunately.
Yeah, well,
unfortunately. Thank you.
Yeah, we're all on the same team here, aren't we?
There's a lot of Leinster
Tommy's
supporters
the only
here.
one that's blue media around
we have to cater for everybody, but they have been they're a lot, mainly the reason we are third in the world, you have to admit. But if Irish rugby is going to be going forward, you have to have 4 strong provinces. So hopefully we do see that as well. One area as well, in terms of the Leinster blue media won't have been happy about, Donncha, and I'm going to give you your chance to get your red jersey on again. Ty Byrne, Player of the Year, delighted.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, look, the big push for me with him, and actually you've got his ear, Victor Matfield. I heard him saying on your pod that he's got a vote on that. I know there's an awful lot of chat, but Geez, I
Did he
think
say that?
Burns.
I wasn't paying attention.
Yeah, he said he's definitely in the running for him as kind of world player of the year. Obviously, hard thing to.
Okay. Wow.
But I just think for what he's done, you know what I mean? I think he's certainly in that vein. But yeah, I think that was a good call and good to see.
And Aoife Wafer as well to get the women's 15s player of the year as well.
Can I throw one to you there? Because I know you're on the wrap up. But lads, Joe Schmidt, Andy Farrell, you'd say they're kind of frenemies, right? Do you think there's going to be a little coffee on Sunday morning between the two of them where Joe goes, listen, Andy, coming into Six Nations, this is where we try to nail you? That they kind of nearly show the warts. Could Andy pick up the phone the next day and say to him, where are we lacking, Joe? You know what I mean? Is that type of relationship still there?
I reckon it probably would be. Now, Joe is so professional and so kind of diligent. If he was going anywhere else, if he ever felt like there was a compromise or a conflict, he would obviously that wouldn't happen. He would be very strict with that. But the fact that he's not picking up another job at this stage, he's moving away from the game, isn't that right?
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, I would imagine that conversation could happen. There's no reason why it wouldn't.
I know ahead of the Lions tour, the two of them met up to discuss it, to say, listen, we want to make this a celebration of rugby. The last Lions tour between Razzie and Warren Gatland became this kind of like us against them, and it became kind of, it was a bit nasty. So I know that they wanted to make this tour, Australia against the Lions, is going to be something that we're going to celebrate the game. We're not going to be slagging and throwing mud at each other. And I think that came out of it quite well. And you see shots of them, two of them talking to each other. And listen, if there's one country who I think Joe Schmidt would love to try and give back as much as he could to, I think it would be to Ireland. So I would see no reason why the two of them wouldn't catch up. Maybe not the next few weeks.
I just think it'd be a pivotal person to critique us, wouldn't it? Imagine him actually giving you warts and all appraisal of this is where you need to go. You know what I mean? With a total outside view. And your point, Tommy, actually still caring enough.
Yeah. No, I'd say that would be, and listen, it'd be brilliant for Andy Farrell. Listen, Joe Schmidt brought Andy Farrell in, which, remember at the time, was a big, big statement move. And we were kind of like, they were so different, poles apart in terms of as coaches. But this whole yin and yang definitely works. So I would say there's a really healthy respect between the two of them. Listen, there's some great matches coming up this weekend. England against New Zealand, Italy against South Africa. The big one, I think, of the whole lot has to be Wales against Japan. My God.
Call it, Tommy. Call Wales, Japan, lads.
Oh, geez. The way Japan played last weekend, I think they're going to be really difficult. But I hope to God Wales win, because I know Steve Tandy well. This goes down to world ranking points. So at the moment, Wales are 12th, Japan are 13th. And to get automatic qualification for the Rugby World Cup, I think you have to be 12 and above. So can you imagine Welsh rugby, if they lose this, they go into 13th position and they haven't automatically qualified for Rugby World Cup? Like
they'd have to play like Kazakhstan and Chile and stuff like that, would they?
Yeah,
man,
I think so.
We had to do it. I cover subbed, Trimble. I'll give you an half. I cover subbed when we had to play Russia to qualify for the World Cup in 2003. It was
so we've been there.
Of course we've been there, man. The game was played in Siberia, right? And my job, I became Rala's little helper because no one fell down the stairs the night before. And I had one job, get ice in Siberia. And I couldn't do it, man. It's like asking Irish people for rain. You know what I mean? They all pissed themselves laughing when I was asking for ice around the place. They're like, have a look out the window, fella. The last thing you fucking need is like
ice cubes, though. Ice cubes.
I remember Raleigh was totally. I said, "What you mean you can't get ice?"
We have a Russian memory as well. We played against Russia in the World Cup in 2011. Donncha, Tommy, I assume you're with one of the.
Yeah. I was watching.
Exactly.
I had a sore foot,
and I scored this try where the Russian lad, like, he looked like he'd never seen a rugby ball before. He went to pass it to his 10 and someone got in the way. It like bounced off his head or something, hit the grass, and everybody stands around looking at each other. I ran through, picked it up, thinking, what is going on here? Scored this try, and Donncha comes over to me and says, congratulations on scoring the world's worst ever try.
It was horrendous, Tommy. It was one of these ones where, like, you were looking at the ref going, "You're not going to give that. Yeah, it's horrible."
I was embarrassed. Please don't award that.
Well, you've got your try against Russia. Fair play to you, Trimby. I remember after that game as well, you had a bit of a storm with that game, and I remember O'Gara then was going, Trimby deserves to be playing against Australia next.
Brilliant.
And I remember I was like sitting on the periphery of the circle. I was like, no,
Russia.
No, he doesn't.
Oh, he was like, but it's Russia.
Tommy and the lads didn't even come to that match, I don't think. Do you remember they were all off playing pool or pitch and putt?
I remember the crowd were up on the grass banks and all as well.
That's right.
Yeah, I remember. Very
Brilliant.
good.
Great days.
Good times. Listen, Trimby, we really appreciate you coming along to talk to us. Give us an insight into life after rugby and, Joe Schmidt and everything else as well. Continued success, mate. It's great to catch up with you, and best of luck with all your million podcasts. And I believe you're going off to a High Rocks today.
That's right, yeah. My sister roped me in, tricked me into doing the mixed high rocks this afternoon. So heading down to Dublin after this, getting sorted. Been carb loading for 3 weeks.
You know when you do wall balls, Trimby, do you hit it way beyond the, like, do they have to adjust for the length of your arms for the wall
He doesn't have to. He just stands up and pushes it against
touches it off it.
You know how much, even if there wasn't a med ball at the end of my hands, you know how hard work it is extending these things and then contracting all the way down.
That's enough. Like one of those things you see outside the garages, you know, those floaty men.
Trimby, best of luck in the High Rocks. We'll catch up with this weekend, no doubt, at the match too. Best of luck to Ireland. And Donncha, you're going to be, will you be there, Donners?
The match, yes. Yeah, I'm up for the game. Ireland, Australia, looking forward to it. We'll see each other around the Elephant Graveyard there, picking up the accreditation, lads.
Are there any jobs going? Any jobs? Thank you for checking out the Offload. Make sure to subscribe, and thank you. Of course, we have a live show next March. Check it out on ticketmaster.ie. We'll see you next week.
Good on you, Trimby. Thanks, fella.